I'm told that you all are advanced students in yoga. So I'm hoping that I also can learn something from you. So your basic and intermediary course must be completed, isn't it? So you are going to get advanced course. So I would like, I'm not familiar with the contents of your syllabus. So, and this is supposed to be an interactive session. It's not that I go on blah, 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 and you will keep on, sleeping with open eyes. We don't want that. Okay. So let us make it a interactive session as far as possible. So how many of you are here? I'm here. 11. So I would like each of you to say, tell me 11 things about yoga that you know. Anything. After that, it is just to get an idea of how much you are familiar with the course and what have you been learning. It's inward journey. Yoga is an inward journey. Next. I'm asking. Anything, any one thing about yoga.
Yoga is an experiential science.
Very good.
Personality development.
Okay, it involves personality development.
Yoga is self-discipline.
Okay. Okay. And what else?
Helps in growing.
Growing. Already I think
It prevents growing.
Okay.
It helps in understanding things.
Internal growth and all.
Yeah, much better things.
Okay. Anything. Yoga is spelled Y-O-G-A. Good for health. Who else?
Yoga is an escape place for me personally.
It's an escape place for you. I didn't know you were so troubled. Okay, come on.
More of concentration.
More of a concentration.
Right. It's a great way to express yourself and all.
Connect to your partner.
Right.
Yoga is to gain knowledge.
To gain knowledge. Okay. Good. You have not said anything.
Yoga is actually inward journey, like
That's
all,
amazing.
yeah.
Make up something else.
Self-realization.
Self-realization.
Siddhi.
Person is yoga. Okay.
Yoga samadho.
Yoga has samadho. Very good. Then you do the same thing.
Skill in action. Skill in action.
Skill
in action.
Skill in action. Oh, very good.
Understanding about it.
Yes, it's not
No. Actually, it's exercise too.
exercise. Okay, everybody. Okay, very good. So, is Patanjali Yoga Sutra part of your curriculum as part of your teacher? Have you already gone through it once or you already gone through it? Quickly glance at okay. Okay, so this will be an interactive session as far as possible, and whenever so whenever we go to any crowd to represent yoga, and as a teacher and as a facilitator, we must be able to explain yoga as it has been shared by the traditional masters. We cannot just make up things like that, okay? Because there's a lot of that going on these days. Yoga for that and this and beer yoga is there, I heard. All kind of things are being added. So what we are here is to study it in all seriousness with as given by the traditional masters, so that you will be authentic yoga teachers. Okay. So shall we start? Okay. So Who is the weakest student in the class? Yeah. So whenever, are you sure?
According to theory,
Okay. Okay. So whenever we are, if and as you know, Yoga Sutra means a garland. Okay. So all the ideas are connected one after the other. So I would like all of you to journey together. This is a train of thought. You have heard of that, you said, isn't it? So, and as our train begins to move, if anybody is lost here and there, you should not be running after the train and falling down and breaking your leg and all that. So, we have to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Okay, if anybody is bored or who wants to take a break, we'll take a break. Okay,
we will have everything.
we have entertainment. Okay, so anybody who wants to take a break, you can have this. Okay, and we'll distribute it to everybody. I can take it. And we'll distribute it to everybody and take a short break. Okay, because I don't want this to be a purely theoretical nonsense. Okay. Okay. So we'll start with a small prayer to Bhagavan Patanjali. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacha Malam Sharirasya Chavaidyanena Yovakarotam Pravaram Munina Patanjalim Pranjaliranadoshi Patanjalim Pranjaliranadoshi. It's the famous prayer to Lord Patanjali, isn't it? Must be one. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to begin with a story. That's usually how I go, so that people who want to sleep can get the motivation. Okay, the idea is, I see a lot of yoga people, fresh young people like you, and they have a lot of flexibility, and you must see his Facebook profile, isn't it? They do a lot of impossible things, aerial yoga and all that. But the basic idea of what essentially is yoga, that I see that missing in a certain people. Most of the so-called yoga teachers, especially in the modern age, the story goes like this. Once upon a time, that's how stories begin. Once upon a time, there were 3 students, 3 children, young boys. They wanted to be masters of all the latest in science and technology and all that. This is a long time ago. So they must be learning Veda, Shastra and all that. Okay, so they wanted their masters and PhDs and all that. Okay, any PhDs here? Okay, so they wanted to get educated to the highest, and they went to where do they go? They go to Gurukula, long time ago. So they went to Gurukulas are generally in the forest, secluded place, isn't it? They went there, had their education for like 25 years, and they were coming back. On the way back, they reached there. So 25 years they have been in the forest, no outside contact, no newspaper, no WhatsApp, nothing. Okay, so they have been secluded, and they were coming out back home, Samavartanam as they call it. And on the way, they didn't know which road to take. They reached a fork in the road. They didn't know which road to take. So what to do now? And they have all these PhDs and masters and all that in their shoulder bag, all the books are there. So what did they do? One of the boys, he opened his book and referred all the Dharma Shastras as to what to do when you reach a fork in the road. And he saw one particular shloka which is very interesting. And on one of the road, fork in the road means 2 roads are there. We have to take one. On one of the road, he saw there is a funeral procession going on. Okay, so he referred his books and he saw one shloka that says Mahajjano yena gatasya pantha, which is from the Mahabharata, if you may know. It means that whenever we are confused, we should take the road taken by great people. Okay, so it's if you want to make pizza, let us say, you don't go and invent the pizza. You look in the Google, isn't it, and find the recipe and make it. In the same way, whatever journey that we are making, it has already been made by great people. We only have to Google it and find out what they did and make our pizza or whatever. Okay. So he referred the scriptures, and the scripture says Mahajjano Enagatasapatha. That means, but that shloka can also be interpreted as Mahajjana means a great number of people. Okay. So great number of people are taking one road. So let us take that road, he said. Okay. And they took that road. Funeral procession ends where? In the crematorium, isn't it? They reached the crematorium and they were wondering what is happening and all, because they have been out of touch with the world a long time. And there they saw a creature. A donkey was grazing there. And they were very intrigued by it. They started petting the animal and they wondered what it is. So they referred their encyclopedia and all that. And they saw a shloka. The second boy found the shloka. He said, the shloka says, Utsave Vesane Prapte Durbhikshe Shatru Sankate Rajadware Smashane Cha Yastishtari Sabantavaha. Are you familiar with Sanskrit? No, very good. So I can say whatever I want. Okay. It is a definition of a true friend. It says Utsave. Utsave means whenever you are partying together. Hamara party over here. So friends are those with whom you party. And also friends are those who stand by you when you are in trouble. Desane Prapte. Durbhikshe. You all must have been hostlers in your college days. At 2 o'clock in the night, with that last 10 rupee that you have, you will buy a Maggie and boil it in hot water and have it with 10 other people, isn't it? Durbhikshe. Whenever there is no food, whoever shares your food is a good friend, isn't it? Durbhikshe. Shatru Sankate, when bullies come and make trouble for you, whoever stands by you, that is your friend. Rajadware, whenever government or any other authority makes trouble for you, they put a case against you or something, whoever stands by you is your true friend. And Smashane, when there is a death in the family, when you are suffering, when whoever is with you, he is a true friend. This is the definition of a friend. Okay, you can evaluate your friends by this. So they found that that creature is there with you in this crematorium. So this must be your friend. So they started petting the animal and feeding the donkey and all that. Suddenly, somebody was coming there and running there and coming. It was a camel. So the third boy referred his books. He has never seen a camel. So he referred his books and found another shloka. Dharmasya turito gatihi. That means justice is fast, he says. That is a literal meaning. So he understood that whatever is coming fast must be dharma, justice. So they thought that this camel is what our teachers talk about as dharma. And so, okay, so what do we do with the camel? So another boy, the first boy again referred his books, and he said, he found a sloka, Ishtam dharmena yoje. Whatever you do in life should be joined with your, passion and all that. So what they did. So one is your friend Ishtam, and the other is dharma. So they tied both animals into one rope, and they were taking it. And suddenly, the owner of both animals, the donkey and the camel, he was a laundryman, Dhobi, as they say. The Dhobi came there and somebody told him that your animals are being taken by these boys. So he came there with a broomstick and beat them, and they started running. And on the way, they reached the river. Okay, is the story getting too long? Okay, and they reached the river, and okay, now what do we do? Again, we refer the book, and through the river there are some leaves and all that flowing. There was a leaf flowing around, so he referred the book as to what to do now. So Agamishyati Yatpatram Tadasman Tarayishyati, says the book, that whatever is the leaf that flows, that will save you. That is a verbal meaning, but Agamishyati Yatpatram means our scriptures actually. So this boy again jumped to get the leaf, and another boy, then he doesn't know swimming. So he started drowning. How many of you know swimming? can manage in the movie. Right. Yeah. Correct. Okay. So this boy, he doesn't know, and he's about to drown. So the other boy referred his book, and he found that another shloka. What is that? He says, whenever there is a trouble, if there is a calamity, when everything is being lost, you should save at least half of it. And with half you can survive. If everything is gone, you are gone. That is a shloka that they found. And this boy, he caught him by the hair and he is drowning. So what to do? By now you must be knowing what these boys are like. So he took a knife and cut the other boy's head down. At least the half of you got. Okay. So these kind of children were the central characters in the story. The story goes on like that. They went they were on the way. They met a party was going on again. Party over here. And there they what is that? They served a long vegetable roll. Vegetable roll. So he referred his books again. Dirgha Sutri Vinashyati. A long roll will destroy you. So he again made fight with the people and went outside. Like that the story goes. The point is, these people, they know all the scriptures. They know all that is latest. But they don't know how to apply it, isn't it? In the same way, we may know the Yoga Shastra and the Sutras and whatnot, but to apply it intelligently is the point. Okay? And if you are yoga teachers, at least if you are students of Prasadji, I would like you to be people who know the subject in depth. Okay? So that is why I asked you what is yoga about and all that. Okay? And the fundamental is, I would like to ask you another question. Why are you doing all this? What is the point? That includes your yoga and your extracurricular and your studies and all that. Why are you doing all this?
By doing yoga, I feel we are experiencing life in a much deeper way.
Okay.
Not supposed to be small things what we do it with the experience, how
Right.
it's affecting
Right.
us as well as
So much more deeper experience of life we get. That is one answer. Still,
Just makes me happy.
you just makes me happy. That is what I was looking for. So whatever we are doing, basically what is the point? Whether it is your degree or your Facebook status or what not. What is the point? Happiness, isn't it? So if you are a yoga teacher, the first certificate that you should have is that you should smile. If that you cannot do, then your certificate is, you can return it. Maybe Prasadji will refund it. Okay. So happiness is the main goal, isn't it? I hope you will agree with that. I'm not talking rocket science here, isn't it? The fundamental point of every operation, whether it is yoga or bhoga or whatever it is happiness, isn't it? That is what Patanjali Maharshi is pointing us towards. Okay. And that is what we are searching for. And the direct path is given to us through yoga. Okay. And some little bit more theory I will trouble you with. Yoga is a way to look at life, isn't it? As you rightly said. There are different ways of looking at life, isn't it? There are thousands of people here in this town, but only a few of you are here mad enough to waste time like this, isn't it? So there is something more deeper that you are looking for, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say is there are different worldviews. Okay, there are different ways to look at the world, but one of those is called yoga. And our rishis, ancient Indian sages, have given 6 ways of looking at the world. Okay, they are called darshanas, ways of looking at the world. Are you familiar with these? Shat darshanas are there. Which are there? Very good. One word is enough. Go.
no, and Darshana is what
Okay. Anyone darshana can any of you name? Sankhya, very good. Mimamsa. Which?
Uttara Mimamsa.
Uttara Mimamsa.
Yeah.
Yoga.
Ayoga, Sankhya, Yoga, then Purva Mimamsa, okay. Uttara Mimamsa, one word with you can manage. Then two more are there. Shad you say? Six. Okay. Vaisheshika and Nyaya. Okay. We'll quickly understand what all these are. Sankhya means any Shastra. Okay. By the way, what is a Shastra? What is a science? A science is anything that explains what the universe is, what the cause of the universe is, and what you are supposed to do in the universe. Three things: universe, cause of the universe, and you, my good friend, what you are supposed to do. Okay. Prapanch, Jagat, the cause, whatever it is, we call it God or whatever, Ishvara and Jiva. These three things, whatever branch of study which explains this is called a Shastra. Modern science is also doing that, Big Bang and black holes and all that. They're trying to explain the universe, the cause of the universe, and how to apply that science in our life to make it comfortable, isn't it? So in the same way, Shastras or Darshanas, how to look at the world, 6 Indian Darshanas are there, actually 12 are there. 6 are called Astika Darshanas, which find their roots in the Vedas. Vedas are our fundamental knowledge collected. Okay, 6 Astika Darshanas which accept the Vedas, and 6 Nastika Darshanas which do not accept the Vedas. Okay, the 6 Shad Darshanas that you mentioned are called Astika Darshanas which accept the Vedas, which are Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, 6 of them. Okay, and Sankhya is that which explains the universe as composed of 25 components. The universe contains 25 components. Any scripture which says this is called a Sankhya. Which are the 25 components? That you can Google it and find out. Okay, but the basic thing is there are 2 things. One is consciousness, and the other is matter. Purusha, consciousness, and Prakriti, matter, that inert matter. These 2 things make up the universe. Okay, and what are you? Are you conscious or oh? Then Prakriti. Okay, whatever you say, sir. Okay, so are you conscious or not? Isn't it? You're conscious, isn't it? So you must be Purusha, isn't it? Okay, of course, I understand the gender bias in the word of it, but the scripture says, gives a word. You can call it Om or whatever, or Faluda or whatever you can call it. But your consciousness, so consciousness and matter. This is the basic idea of Sankhya. And what you are studying, yoga, is a branch. I wouldn't say branch. It is Sankhya. All the basic ideas of Sankhya plus God. Seshwara Sankhya is called yoga. Seshwara means Sa plus Sa Ishwara. Universe of dead matter, consciousness, and an idea of God. This is called yoga. Okay. And then what else is there? Sankhya, yoga, then Nyaya. Nyaya is a very logical science. Logic is the primary component of Nyaya. You have to explain the universe in a very logical way. Okay, that is the approach of Nyaya. Okay. Okay, and so that is Nyaya. And just quickly running through it. Okay, and Vaisheshika is the system which explains the universe through particles. We have studied in our basic science class, solid, liquid, blah blah. Basically, it is all made up of what is it? Particles, kanas, isn't it? Anu or atom, as they call it. So, universe is made up of particles and blah blah blah. That is called Vaisheshika. So, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, what else? Purva Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa means the basic idea is the universe is based on karma or action and its result. If I slap you, I'm sure you will slap me back, isn't it? So if any action has an equal and opposite reaction. That is a basic idea of Purva Mimamsa. Mimamsa means to analyze the Veda. Okay, analyzing the Veda based on the karma siddhanta, karma theory is called Purva Mimamsa. Okay, so if you want money, you have to finish your degree and go to college and get a job. You don't need a god or anything to explain that, isn't it? Finish your degree, go to an interview, and get the job, and you get salary, isn't it? Karma is the basic theory of the universe. That idea is called Purva Mimamsa. So if you want a child, you have to do certain kind of work, some puja and certain medicine and all you have to take, and you get a child. And if you want money, you get a job. If you want to be famous, take a mic and start singing. You become notorious or famous. Something will happen, isn't it? So like that. So that is karma theory. That is Purva Mimamsa. Uttara Mimamsa is called Vedanta. That is the final flowering of our Indian wisdom, which says that everything is that one divine consciousness. Consciousness itself has become all these material things. So what is the difference between Vedanta and our yoga system? There are two things are there, consciousness and red matter. But when it comes to Vedanta, when we inquire further into matter, we saw that matter also is space, and space is founded in consciousness, and everything is finally consciousness. Okay, so what you are wiggling with your fingers is actually consciousness. Okay, that is the basic idea. And okay, what is the point of that? That consciousness you are, you said earlier, isn't it? So everything is actually a expression of yourself. Okay, so there is nothing to fear or nothing to hate or nothing to get worried about. Finally, everything is already consciousness, so I don't have to do anything. Chill, not big. Okay, that is the basic idea. I'm just simplifying it as simple as possible. Okay, so that is the 6 darshanas, out of which yoga is what we are going to study here. Okay, and all of these darshanas have some basic textbook you have to study. For Sankhya, you have to study Sankhya Sutras. Okay, 520 some odd Sankhya Sutras are there, and we will study in a different arrangement. What we are here to study is Yoga Sutra as given by Yoga Darshana is based on Yoga Sutras of Patanjali Maharishi. Okay, is that okay? Everybody is on the same page? Okay, so have you gone through the Yoga Sutra before? Little bit here and there. So what we'll do is we'll quickly read the Yoga Sutra, so that at least you will know how to read the sutra. So when somebody asks you for a Yoga Sutra, you can quickly read it and at least escape. Okay, so I hope all of you have the book. Okay, and what we are dealing today is the first chapter of the Yoga Sutra. How many chapters are there? 4. Very good. Which are they? Samadhi Pada, very good. Sadhana Pada, very good. Vibhuti Pada, then Kaivalya Pada. Pada means 1/4. Okay, so all 4 are there. We'll mainly try to study the first Pada. First Pada is the primary fundamental essence in yoga. Okay, so if that you study, you are through. Rest of it is all extra questions, as they say. Okay, but you can study it, and also first Pada is for excellent students, Uttama Adhikari. So if that you understand, then you can pass the exam. Okay, so Samadhi Pada is what we'll be studying now, and we'll quickly read it once. Is that okay? Okay. I'll read it once, and you can quickly read. Follow me. Okay. Shall we start? I hope everybody online is also ready. Atha Yoganuशासनम्. Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam. Vrittisarupyamitaratra. Vrittayah Panjatayah Klishtaha. These 5 verses are the core crux of the Yoga Sutra. So these 5 you must study by heart. Actually, all of the sutras 195 you must study. That you must promise me. Then only we'll continue. Promise?
So when
Of course, you can take whatever time, but by the time you are done with life, you must know it. Okay, then we can do this. At least, if you read it for 21 days, on the same day, same time, I'm sorry, on the same time every day, by the 21st day, you will by heart it. At least that's what I did. There's a study behind that. Our brain is programmed like that. 21 days, same time, you will master it. Okay, so fix a time, 21 days, read it. Don't have to worry about the meaning, just read it. And 22nd day, you will be mastering it. Okay, so promise 21 days. Okay, very good. So these 5 sutras, if you learn, you will get the core of it. Okay, the rest are all details, as they say. So we'll just finish reading the sadhana pad and then move on to the others. Okay. Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritayaha, Viparyayo, Mithyajnanam, Atadrupa, Pratishtham, Shabdajnananupati, Vastushunyo Vikalpaha, Abhava Pratyaya, Alambana Vrittirnidra, Anubhuta Vishaya, Asampramoshaka Smritihi, Asampramoshaha, Smritihi, Abhyasa, Vairagyabhyam Tannirodhaha, Tatra Sthito, Yatnaha, Abhyasaha, Tatu, Dirghagala, Nairantarya, Satkara Asevita, Dridhabhuvihi, Drashtanashravika, Vishaya Vitrishnasya, Vashikarasajna, Vairagyam, Tatparam, Purushakshyatehe, Gunavaitrishnam, Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita, Asmita Rupa, Anugamata, Samprajnataha, Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita, Rupa, Anupagamata, Samprajnataha. Can you read what is printed there? One of you read what is printed there? Vichara, Ananda, Asmita, Anugamata, Samprajnataha. No? Okay. This other version is a little different. Okay. Where are we? Which sutra are we reading now? 17. Okay. Virama Pratyaya, Abhyasa Purva, Samskara Sheshonyaha, Bhava Pratyayo, Videha Prakritilayanam, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi Prajna, Purvaka, Itaresham, Tivra Samvedanamasannaha, Mridu Madhya, Adhimatratvata, Tato api Visheshaha, ईश्वर प्रणिधानाद्वा क्लेशकर्म विपाकाशैः अपरामृष्टः पुरुषविशेषः ईश्वरः तत्र निरतिशयं सर्वज्ञबीजं स पूर्वेषामपि गुरुः कालेन अनवच्छेदात् तस्य वाचकः प्रणवः तज्जपः तदर्थभावनम् ततः प्रत्यक्षेतनाधिगमः प्रत्यक्षेतना अधिगमः अपि अंतराय अभावश्च व्याधि ध्यान संशय प्रमाद आलस्य अविरति ध्यान्तदर्शन अलब्धभूमिकत्व अनवस्थितत्वानि चित्तविक्षेपाः ते अंतरायाः this is how you split the words, you know. Okay. Dukkha daurmanasya angame jayatva श्वास प्रश्वास विक्षेप सह भुवः तत्प्रतिषेधार्थम् एकतत्त्वाभ्यासः मैत्री करुणा मुदिता उपेक्षाणां सुखदुःख पुण्यापुण्य विषयाणां भावनातः चित्तप्रसादनं प्रच्छर्दन विधारणाभ्यां वा प्राणस्य विषयवती वा प्रवृत्तिरुत्पन्नः प्रवृत्तिरुत्पन्ना मनसः स्थितिनिबन्धिनी विशोका वा ज्योतिष्मती वीतरागविषयं वा चित्तं स्वप्न निद्रा ज्ञानालम्बनं वा यथा अभिमता ध्यानाद्वा परमाणो परम महत्तत्त्वान्तोऽस्य वशीकारः क्षीणवृत्तेः अभिजातस्येव मणेः गृहीतृ ग्रहण ग्राह्येषु तत्स्तदञ्जनता समापत्तिः तत्र शब्दार्थज्ञान विकल्पैः संकीर्णा सवितर्क समापत्तिः स्मृति परिशुद्धो स्वरूप शून्य इव अर्थमात्र निर्भासा निर्वितर्क एत एव सविचार निर्विचारः च सूक्ष्म विषया व्याख्याता सूक्ष्म विषयत्वं च अलिंग पर्यवसानम् ता एव सवीर समाधिः निर्विचार वैशारद्ये अध्यात्म प्रसादः कृतंभरा तत्र प्रज्ञा श्रुतानुमान प्रज्ञाभ्याम् अन्य विषया विशेषार्थत्वात् तज्ज संस्कारः अन्य संस्कार प्रतिबंधी तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वनिरोधात् निर्बीज समाधिः So these are the 51 verses of sutras of Samadhi Padana. Once you understand these completely, you are a true yogin by the meaning of it. Okay, that is what we want you to become, not just yoga teachers. The thing is, there is something called Gomaya Payasiya Nyayam, what they call it. What is that? Somebody asked, we should make payasam. Payasam, you know, I think. That sweet. Aghir. Okay. So somebody said we should make Gomaya payasam. So, but the problem is these theoretical people, PhDs and all that, somebody argued. Gomaya means that which comes from a cow products, isn't it? So what is a cow product used for payasam? Milk, isn't it? But Gomaya, the word can mean other cow products also, deshi and all that. It can mean cow dung and cow urine also. You said Gomaya payasam. So you can also make payasam using cow dung or with the urine or with the milk. So the extra intelligent people, outstanding people, they will argue like this. I don't want you to be like that. I want you to be yogis. Okay? Who understands the point of yoga? And what is the point of yoga? Happiness. Okay? Whether it is asamprajnada or whatever, blah blah, that we figure out. Don't worry. But happiness is the point. Okay? And what kind of happiness? Not the happiness that you get when you get a chocolate. No. The happiness, whether you get a chocolate or your girlfriend gives a thapad on your face. Either way, you should be happy. Okay? That is called happiness, which doesn't depend on the world. Okay? Happiness which does not depend on the prakriti. Prakriti means matter. World is made up of matter, isn't it? Solid, liquid, blah blah. Okay? So your happiness should not be dependent on the world and what the people in the world say. Okay? That is called yoga. If that kind of happiness you have, you are a yogi. Otherwise, you are a certificate holder. That's it. You are not a yogi. Okay? So I want you to be a yogi first. Okay? And what is the first step? Even if you don't understand anything, just smile. So people who see you think that, oh, yogi knows everything. Okay? So that is the first. These are the little secrets that you will not find in the book. Okay? Especially when you become a teacher, you have to play all these tricks. You have to say some slogas so that people think you know everything. Okay? Okay. So the first thing, smile. Second thing, 21 days. Study the Yoga Sutra, 195 of it. Okay? After 21 days, I will be coming to Prasadya Loves, and I would like to, we can all recite together. Okay? To create some yogic energy, as they say. Okay. So we'll move on to the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Patanjali Maharshi is supposedly the teacher of who gave us the sutras. Sutra means any idea which uses minimum words to give maximum meaning, isn't it? Sometimes when you have a fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, you use minimum words, isn't it? Where you go? Where were you? And you would say, I know where you are, isn't it? So minimum words to imply maximum meaning. Okay, powerful words you should utter. As a yogi, you are supposed to say words with power. And words with power means minimum words to give maximum meaning. That is what Patanjali is giving us through sutras, brief pellets, that gives the whole world view. Okay. So the first sutra says Atha Yoga Anushasanam, isn't it? So Atha, Prasadji, should we go verse by verse, all the sutras? Okay. So this may take a little bit more than 1.5 hours. Anyway, I will take today, I will only take 1.5 hours. Don't worry. I don't want you to get too much yoga in one day. Okay. Okay. And so when is our concluding time? 12. Okay. 2:30. Yeah. My God, I will go before that. Okay. So 12 o'clock we'll take a break. Okay. We'll take a break. Okay. Okay. So first sutra is Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Atha means now. Now that you are all here, now that you are all relaxed, now that you are all advanced students, supposedly, now that the teacher is there who supposedly knows everything, but actually he doesn't know anything. Okay. So Atha means now that you are ready. Okay. In all our scriptures, this Atha is used. Atha means now. That means some previous preparation you have undergone. You have gone to a teacher, capable teacher, and invested your time and energy there, and you have learned certain lessons. So that maturity has come. Okay, emotional intelligence, as they say. Some maturity you should have to understand yoga. Okay, Atha. Okay, that is Atha. Atha is also used as a Mangalacharana. Mangala means auspicious. All our major scriptures begin with Atha. Atha, what is that? Brahma Sutra begins with Atha, and other many scriptures begin with Atha. Okay, so Atha is a Mangalacharana as well as a auspicious beginning. Once well begun is half done, isn't it? So Atha Yoga Anushasanam. I am going to explain yoga to you. Okay, and Anushasanam means this. I didn't make up. Before 10:30, I just went through everything and I am here. It's not like that. I have. It has been passed on from a generation of teachers over thousands of years, and now we are the latest in that lineage. So it is an Anushasanam, not just Shasana. I am not making it up. Okay, I am teaching you, or you are learning it as given by Patanjali and his students and all that. Okay, Anushasana, and we are going to discuss yoga. So that is the theme of the sutra. Okay, and the word yoga you must have heard a lot, and certain basic ideas we have to ground rules we set. The first ground rule is that the word yoga is, as used by Patanjali Maharshi, is different from what you are doing on all this aerial and upside down and all that. Okay, what I'm trying to say is the physical aspect is only one limb of what we discussed as the larger, deeper vision of life and all that. Physical is good, we should have it, but that is only a part of it. It only helps you get a clearer vision, that's all. Okay, okay, that's I hope you are not disappointed, but what I am trying to say is, as I earlier mentioned, you should not be somebody who argues that we should make payasam with gomaya. You should be a person who knows the what we are talking about, isn't it? So you should be a true yogi. Okay, and the word yoga has different meanings. One of the important meaning is the practice of it, and the other is the experience of it, as somebody said earlier. Okay, so two things: practice as well as experience, or in other words, the process as well as the goal. Is that okay? Okay. So the goal is samadhi. That is the word that the scripture uses. What do you mean by samadhi? At least your idea, you tell me. Ultimate what?
Peace.
Peace. A piece of what? Okay.
Mind.
Oh, yes. Okay. A piece of stick or a piece of brinjal or something. Huh?
I'll stick to cake.
You will stick to cake. Okay. Okay. So what else? Quickly, come on.
Samadhi means everything,
Ah.
you are not bothered by what is not happening. You are in your own bubble. You
No.
can control.
Okay. Okay.
How you
So
feel.
you are happy as you are.
Yeah, you can control your own now.
The world doesn't affect you much.
Much.
Okay.
Absolute liberation. Absolute liberation.
Liberation. Liberation from, of course. And one other ground rule I want you to set, I would like to set is, whatever these kind of fancy words that we discuss, you can use it in the classroom when you are a teacher, but here, when we are studying it, we will question everything. Okay? Any word that you don't understand, we will, as we discussed, it's a train of thought and we have to study it in detail, understand it. Does it have a practical usage? If not, throw it out. Okay? So liberation, what do you mean by that? What do you want to liberate from? Who wants liberation? I really don't want it, isn't it?
Understanding the self.
Understanding oneself, okay.
Self-contentment.
Self-contentment. These are some of the words that we have heard several times regarding liberation and whatnot. Okay, but when we use a word, we must know what we mean by that. Okay,
Liberation from physical body.
liberation from physical body. If you take a pill, you can.
At the short.
Liberation from desires.
Liberation from desire. Okay, so what is the problem with desires? Actually,
Happy desire.
oh,
Desire never ends. If you overcome one
Okay.
desire, there is one more.
one more is there. Because we all came here because of desire, isn't it? We wanted to be a yoga teacher and yogi and all that. We came here. What is the problem with desire?
Material desire.
I have no problem with it. Oh,
We need to come out of materialistic world.
you need to come out of the materialistic world. What is the problem with the materialistic world?
We get addicted to the things or objects.
We get connected with the thing. You are not connected. I am not connected with the seat. I am not connected to you. We are all independent people, aren't we?
Like how we are connected.
Right. Very good. So when we say connection, it is not a physical connection. It is something subtler, I should say. Maybe mental, intellectual, blah, blah. Isn't it? So the world is, sometimes it makes a problem for us. Not physically, sometimes physically or otherwise. Okay, so let us come back. So ground rules, any word in the scripture or what you use, you must understand before you use and after you use. Okay, sometimes when we discuss, we get new insights. Okay, so that way we can discuss it. So yoga, the word means samadhi as well as the practice to get samadhi. And samadhi means, I would define it as happiness which does not depend on anything else. Sahaja samadhi, as they call it. Sahaja means your own. Nobody can take it. Whatever you are thinking right now, when this will be over, that nobody knows. Fortunately, isn't it? That is yours. Nobody can take it. Like that, happiness which does not depend on anything else, I would define as samadhi or yoga. Okay, and as part of the process, we may do some aerial yoga and all that. Okay, but the basic idea is happiness, and yoga also means the process for it. Okay, so the goal as well as the means, both can be used to, both can be implied by the word yoga. Is that okay? And these are some of the basic terminologies that we should know. Okay, so we'll there's a lot of explanation for all this, but you can read it and find out. And if you have any question, you can ask Prasadji, or next time we can discuss. Okay, I hope all the online folks are also on the same page. Okay, so the next sutra, what does it say? Sorry. So first, Atha Yoga Anuशासनम. Then what?
Yoga chitta.
Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Second sutra. That is the definition of yoga. This also you must study. First 5 sutras you must study. When somebody asks you, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, don't you know that? That you can say, isn't it? Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Okay, so several funny words are here. Yoga, of course, we decided. Chitta Vritti Nirodha. What do you mean by that? What is Chitta?
Mind.
Okay, that's a really again correct answer. Chitta is mind. Okay, and vritti means
Modification of the mind.
modification of the mind, a disturbance in the mind. Any thought is a disturbance in the natural state of the mind, isn't it? So chitta vritti nirodha. What do you mean by nirodha?
Control.
Control, removal. These are some of the meanings that we have heard. Okay, I would also put one more word, one more meaning to it, that you are not affected by the chitta vrittis. Okay, chitta vritti means right now what we are experiencing as the world we experience through the mind, isn't it? The sense organs collect data, it presents to the mind. Mind is interpreting it as good or bad or whatever, and we experience our life as it is, isn't it? So on a happy day, the world is a fun place, isn't it? Otherwise, it is a miserable. If you are unhappy, the whole world is a miserable place, isn't it? The next person that comes to you want to give one on their face, isn't it? Just for the fun of it, isn't it? So your mind essentially controls your worldview, isn't it? So Patanjali says you have to be in control of your mind. Otherwise, the mind will create problems. Okay. So chitta vritti nirodha would mean mind does not affect your happiness. Okay, happiness is our goal, and now the major problem is the mind. Mind says this is that and all that. Okay, and that becomes when we focus on the mind, our happiness is gone. Mind says all kinds of nonsense. When we focus on it, our happiness is affected. So that is why when we practice yoga or physical or whatever it is, when the mind is relatively calm, you experience happiness. Where does that happiness come from? It comes from oneself, isn't it? Otherwise, you will not feel happy. If I am doing yoga, you don't get any happiness, isn't it? It comes from you only, isn't it? The best example or proof that you are essentially a very happy person is that the famous example is there. Suppose you have to get up at 5 o'clock, suppose, and you kept the alarm 5 o'clock, and by some disturbance you got up and you checked the alarm clock and it's only 2:15 in the morning. What do you feel? Of course, sleepy you feel. What else do you feel? When you see that it's only 2 o'clock and you still have 3 hours to sleep, how do you feel? Very happy, isn't it? That is the best thing in the world, isn't it? I used to put alarm at 3 o'clock and get up and look at it and go back to sleep. Because the feeling that you have more time to sleep, that is the best, isn't it? So in sleep, what happens? Your yoga certificates, your what is that? Your PhDs and your Facebook photos and your parents, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your whatever troubles, everything is gone, isn't it? In sleep, and still you are happy, isn't it? Whatever you dreamed about and wanted to achieve, it's all gone, but still you are ultimately happy, isn't it? So what if you could have that happiness all the time? That would be wonderful, isn't it? That is what Patanjali is trying to get for you. Okay. So ultimate happiness, what I wanted to indicate was that even without all these ideas, you are the son or daughter of so and so, you are a student, you are a yoga teacher, but everything, even if all of that is gone, you are still happy. So there is happiness in you which you have to access. You only have to access it. In sleep, you get ready access, but in waking state, you don't, because we are preoccupied with the mind. So once the mind is a little trained, as you do aerial, once the mind is also ready to cooperate with you, that happiness is readily available for you. In sleep or in coma, when the mind is put out, you experience happiness. Consciously, when we put out the botheration of the mind, it is called yoga. Okay, so that is what Patanjali is coming to you. He says it in Sanskrit, so we'll go through it. What is the second sutra? I'm sorry. Second sutra, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. You are unaffected by the ideas or disturbances of the mind. That state is called yoga. Okay. Duality. Okay. Duality of the mind. But you would like, but you have to be careful about the words that you use. What do you mean by duality? Fluctuation. Everybody have to be careful. Okay, I'll ask you. Okay. That includes Ashariri also. You have to be careful. Okay. So when you are preoccupied with the mind, you become this and that, and son or daughter or girlfriend or miserable, and you need escape and all that. You need the chocolate, all that. All those ideas come. Then you identify with the mind. When you cut off the identification, you are in samadhi. Okay. And I would like to excuse myself by saying that the interpretation of Patanjali Yoga Sutra that I am giving you is different from the traditional, slightly different from the traditional yoga teachers that they give you. Okay? Because in traditional yoga teachers or masters or Himalayan sages that you have probably seen, they all go into a cave. They all take very little food. Some of them have not taken food, and some of them take a little bit of water. Some of them don't wear clothes. They lead a very secluded life. Okay, would you like to live like that? Sir, no, say something. Ashariri? I said no. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that that traditional way of going into seclusion is not the idea of yoga. Because we are here in Bhubaneswari, Nagar and Bangalore and all that, we cannot go into seclusion. First of all, we don't have that many caves, and we don't have, the forest department will not allow you to go there also. Okay, and you can go into the bathroom, but how long? Next people will come. So seclusion is not what we are implying by yoga. It is an interactive yoga. As you interact with the world, can you be happy? That is the idea of yoga. Do you agree? Does that sound practical to you? Okay. So that is, so some other swamis or other acharyas may, when they discuss Yoga Sutra, they may tell you that you have to do 12 hours of your meditation every day, and you should not talk to anybody. You have to follow Maunam, and you should not eat chocolate, and you should not do this and that and all that. Okay? All those restrictions are there. They are helpful for you, but seclusion is not the idea. It's an interactive happiness that we are trying to achieve. I hope that's clear. That you should keep in the center part of your brain. Okay? Okay. So when we are not disturbed by the mind, what happens to us? We automatically see our happiness. Isn't it? When you are thoroughly focused on something that you love, whether it is a yoga or whether you are doing a painting or drawing or whether you are talking to your girlfriend or whatever it is, when you are supremely focused on something, there is great happiness in it, isn't it? That is when you do your best. When what is that? Your masterpiece comes out. When you are thoroughly focused, no other distractions are there, and then you make achievements that you are proud for life, isn't it? So the best in you comes when your mind is trained to be focused. I hope you agree to it. Okay. So Patanjali says, Tada means what? Chitta vritti nirodhe. When your mind is trained to be focused, what happens to you? Drashtu, you who are experiencing all this mind and intellect and world and all that. Drashtu means what? The person who sees. You are seeing your mind, isn't it? Of course, not like the other physical objects, but you are seeing it. You are knowing it, isn't it? So that is a very important point. That are you the mind or are you the seer of the mind? You are the seer of the mind, isn't it? Isn't it? We cannot be mind, because mind is a product of what we eat, isn't it? The food that we eat contains a physical part, contains a subtle part. Subtle part becomes your mind, isn't it? How do you say that? Can you prove it? Okay, you please go on a diet for 15 days. You find out. On the 16th day, you will even forget your name, isn't it? Because there is actually in the Upanishad there is a experiment like that. The teacher asks the student to stop eating for 15 days, and the boy forgets all his mantras and yoga sutras and all that. The idea is the mind is essentially what we eat. The food, the subtle part of the food is becoming the mind. That is why our teachers tell us to watch what you eat. Don't eat meat. Don't eat too much pani puri and all that. but not too much, because it affects your mind. You become very agitated. Okay, when you eat spicy things. I'm not sure if you have noticed. When you eat a lot of spicy tandoori and all that, that day your sleep is very disturbed. Have you noticed? You'll get some funny dreams. Have you noticed? Because the mind is basically food. Nothing but of the food. Okay. So you are the seer of the mind. So that is a very simply put statement, but it is a very deep statement. So whatever you are, your name, your parents, your siblings, your educational qualification, whatever you define as you, it's all in the mind, isn't it? So give you a hard stroke on your head, you may forget it. Some people have, Alzheimer's and all that. They forget who they are, isn't it? So whatever they accumulated as the mind, they lost it, isn't it? So whatever ideas about yourself that you have accumulated, it's all part of the mind. And when that mind is in nirodha, in undisturbed, calm state, then you really see who you are. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Swarupa means who you really are. You are not a student, you are not a teacher. What you really are, you find out. I'm not going to tell you, you have to find out. Okay? So tada drashtuhu. So swarupe avasthanam. And we have two things, swarupa and swabhava. Like as we said in matter and consciousness. What are you? Consciousness. Because you are conscious, isn't it? You are conscious of the mind, you are conscious of the itching and scratching and all that. So you are conscious of whatever is happening physically and mentally, isn't it? So you are actually consciousness illumining all these other ideas. Okay? I hope everybody is on the same page. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Okay, so actually what I'm trying to say is, as long as we have not identified with consciousness, which you cannot define, or which only you can see in samadhi, whatever other ideas that you have about yourself is not you. It is only a part of the food that you ate, part of the mind that you have seen. What you really are, you have to see. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Okay. And what if I don't practice? Yes, thank you. And swarupa is that which you truly are. And whatever else that your son and daughter and girlfriend or boyfriend are broken up or hungry or thirsty, everything is swabhavam. That is why it keeps changing. Swabhavam keeps changing and swarupam never changes. Okay? Because swabhavam is part of the matter, food and all that. And swarupam never changes. Is that okay? Is that okay? Okay.
So why do we talk about food here when we are talking about Swarupam?
Because that is a supplementary idea that I gave you, that whatever is the mind, your ideas and your prejudices, your notions and your political ideologies, everything that you have seen in the subtle space of your inner being, it's all prakriti. It's all basically what you have eaten and has become all these ideas. That is what I'm saying. So what you truly are is Swarupam. And what is your Swarupam? What do you mean by that? That comes in the second chapter. We'll discuss there. Essentially, you are consciousness which does not get affected by any of these ideas. You may be the greatest rascal in the universe, which I don't want to prove, but that also does not affect your Swarupa. That is why in our Indian sciences, even animals or lower beings or drunkards or psychopaths, whatever it is, all of it is worshipful to us. We respect everybody. We say namaste to everybody, isn't it? Because apart from all the nonsense, you are essentially Swarupam. Now, Swabhavam, you can change it. Okay? Swabhavam with some yoga or whatever you can change it. But Swarupam essentially is divine, it is indestructible, and it is always there. How do you know it is always there? In consciousness, waking state, I know I am there, isn't it? All of you are there, isn't it? Somewhere, you're there.
ಸರ್ ನೀವು ಹೇಳೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಸ್ವರೂಪ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹುಟ್ಟದಿಂದಲೇ ಬಂದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಸ್ವಭಾವ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬದಲಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ.
Sir, Swarupa, can we call it as Atma?
Swarupa is Atma. That is what I am coming to. Thank you.
What she said is, Swarupam is what we acquire from the birth.
Swarupam is what you are, whether you are born or you are a donkey in the previous birth or whatever it is. Whatever you call as born or growing or old age or whatever it is all acquired from the rest of the universe, isn't it? From your parents' genes, you got this body, isn't it? And somebody put it a name, a funny name, a nickname, and you started calling it. And then you started going to school, they taught you all kinds of nonsense, which you never use in life, isn't it? All this is acquired from the surroundings, but essentially what you are, that nobody can change it. So I would not, Swarupam is not even born. It is, I would say it is before birth. It is also a little compromise. I would say it is free of all birth and all these ideas. It is free of all ideas. How? That is why we are studying the Yoga Sutra. Okay, so we'll see how it is, how we can see it, and also one more thing. Our ideas, whatever we see or hear, those things give us certain pain, isn't it? That is what we are trying to escape, as you said. So when my girlfriend breaks up with me, I am a miserable man, isn't it? Or a miserable young lady. That is an idea in my brain, isn't it? That some time ago it got modified. Yesterday she gave me the chapel. So today onwards, I am miserable. So that idea came a little while ago. And these ideas, when you go to sleep, that idea is not there. Happily you will snore away, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say is all these ideas keep changing. And what you essentially are, who is the seer of these ideas, that you have not actually touched them. You have touched all the other things, all the yoga equipment and all that you have touched. But yourself you have not touched. That is why it is called Aparoksha Jnana. Okay? Aparoksha Jnana means knowledge about oneself. Okay? Jnana is different types of, that comes in the Yoga Sutra. For example, all of you have passport? When you go to the passport office, you have to stay in a very long queue, isn't it? Sometimes, until your token is called, and when they call you, you know that you are being called, isn't it? Rahul Achari, when they call you, you get up and go, isn't it? For that, you don't need an ID card. When that name is called, you know that you are being called. Full name. Other Rahuls may be there, but when your full name is called, you know that you are being called, isn't it? So there you don't need an ID card. You don't need to ask your parents. You don't need any reference. You just get up and go, isn't it? Why is that? Because that word is now aparoksham for you. That means, that word means me. Okay? In the same way, this Swarupam that you are talking about, free of all ideas, is actually your aparoksham. Or at least by practice, it has to become a aparoksha jnanam for you. So, when somebody calls you a donkey, you will not be offended because you know who you are. Somebody calls you a monkey or a donkey, why do you react? Because you have some doubt, isn't it? When you are clear that you are the son or daughter of your parents, you don't get offended. You smile and say, okay, what else do you have? You will ask like that, isn't it? In the same way, when your aparoksha jnanam is clear, you will no more be affected by any of these definitions. Do you get what I'm trying to say to you? It's a little subtle, but what I'm trying to say is when your definition of yourself is not dependent on any of these ideas or ideologies, then you are a yogi. So, Rube Avasthanam. I hope this is the fundamental. That is why I'm going so slow. And then we can, once this is clear, we can run through all the other ideas. Is that okay? Okay. So when you don't focus on Swarupam, what happens? You focus on the other part, mind and other things, other ideas. You have to do yoga or you become mata. All these ideas, then you start worrying. Then you look at the calories and you start worrying. You watch your diet. All these confusion comes. That is what Patanjali says. When you don't focus on the self, you focus on the mind. Only two things are there: Prakriti, all these ideas, and yourself. When you don't focus on yourself, you focus on the other. Then you become miserable. That is the cause of the all suffering. So what we do, we try to modify it. We buy one more car, one more girlfriend, one more marriage. We try all these different ideas to change the swabhav, but swabhav keeps on changing. But what you don't have to do that, he says. Patanjali says. Just look at the Swarupam. It never changes and it is always joyful. Okay, that is the idea. Once you see the Swarupam for yourself, avaroksha jnanena, then you are happy. Okay? How to see it, we'll see. Okay? Is that okay? So now, only two things. Prakriti and Purusha. All your mind and all that is Prakriti and you are the Purusha, unaffected by it, never touched by any of these sin or pava, punya, nothing. You are always perfect. I wish somebody every day wakes you up in the morning and tells you that. You are perfect. You have nothing to worry about. I'm not just saying because I want to say it. I'm not trying to butter you up. I have nothing to gain from you. But I'm still telling you because the Shastra says it. You are perfect. Because all these other imperfections never touch you. Is that okay? That is what you are experientially trying to see through all these things. Okay? The fundamental of yoga is clear to you? Is that okay? Okay. So when you don't
My mom says the other way around.
how is that?
So maybe I don't know.
What is that?
Lazy person.
Because she is looking at the Swabhavam, isn't it? After all, I can look at you only as a Swabhavam, you, this physical body and your certain physical expression, mental expressions that get reflected on your face, that only I can observe. A second observer can only observe that. This only you can figure out, isn't it? Isn't it? That is why all the gurus in the world, whether it be inner engineering, outer engineering, whatever it is, they can only give you guidelines. You have to figure it out yourself. Is that okay? And that you don't have to be disappointed about that. Okay, now I have to figure it out. It is avaroksham that you are already that you are. You are already perfect. That you will see in the sutra. Okay? So stop worrying. Chill madbeku, if my Kannada is correct. Okay? I hope this interpretation of yoga is sensible to you. Okay. Okay, so what we call mind is causing all the problems right now. That I hope you agree. And mind has innumerable thoughts and ideas and ideologies and all that, isn't it? But Patanjali studied the mind, all thoughts, and he put 5 boxes and says thoughts are of 5 types. Then each of, if you put these thoughts into any of these boxes, your mind is fully studied. Only 5 types of thoughts you can have. Only 5. I don't accept that. I like your judgmental position about it. But you can classify all thoughts into basically 5 categories. If you want to simplify that, Swamiji, I am too lazy, I don't want to study 5, you can study 2. Klishtaha, aklishtaha, bad and good thoughts. Isn't it?
Yes.
Mind is a problem, or mind can be a good friend also, isn't it? When you're happy, mind is a good friend. So mind can have only 2 positions, good or bad. Agreed? Somebody agreed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So klishtaha, aklishtaha, 2 positions of the mind. Klishta means gives you suffering. Aklishtaha means it takes you towards samadhi, or it is helping you progress. So whatever is helping you progress, good mind, but in certain cartoons or certain TV shows you see, when the central person is in a confusion, a white dressed person and a evil person also will come. Evil person will say, give one thappad. The other person will say, no, non-violence, ahimsa, satya, stayam, and all that, isn't it? So mind has two positions: one that helps you, one that breaks you. Mind says you are a useless person. That is a aklishta thought, bad thought, because it takes you more away from the idea that you are perfect, isn't it? So whatever thoughts that are demeaning to you, they are klishta thoughts, and the other is good thoughts, which help you progress in your sadhana. So two types of thoughts: klishta and aklishta, and all these thoughts, klishta or aklishta, can be bagged into 5 bags. Which are they? Vrittaya. Now I'm talking about the 5th sutra. Okay. Vritti sarupyam idaratra means when you identify with the mind, you become suffering. And this mind, which is the problem causing suffering, we are going to study that in detail. And what is it? It has 5 thoughts. Vrittayaha, panchatayaha. Tayaha means types. Panchatayaha. Vrittayaha, panchatayaha. What are they? Klishtaha, klishtaha. Good and bad thoughts. Is that okay? Okay. And what are the 5 types? Sutra 6. Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritayaha. 5 types of thoughts. We see each of them. Do you need a break now? Later? Okay. We'll finish the central ideas, then we can have a break. Okay. Pramana. Pramana means right knowledge. Okay. When I want to see you, pramana means means of knowing. Okay. So for seeing you, what is the pramana? Eyes. When you want to hear me, what is the pramana? Ear has to use. If I keep moving my lips, nothing happens. Isn't it? For audition, ear is the pramana. Isn't it? In the same way, pramana means the right knowledge created by the sense organs. Okay? Pramana. That is so. When you know something for sure, that is called pramana. That is the first kind of thought. Laptop is sitting here. That is a pramana. That is a right knowledge. Isn't it? Because I see it. That is one kind of thought. Objective thought is called pramana. That is one type of thought. Then what is there? Okay, so next sutra 1.7 says pratyaksha anumana agamaha pramanani. What I said is pratyaksha pramana. Pramana means right knowledge. So how do you get knowledge? Right knowledge. 3 different ways are there. One, you know by your sense organs, eyes, ears, touch, all that. 5. How many are there? 5. 5 sense organs. That is how you know the world. Is in objective knowledge of the world. That is called the pratyaksha pramanam. Okay. So that is what is said in 1.7. Pratyaksha. What is the second type of pramanam? Pratyaksha anumana. I'm talking Sutra 7 now. Okay. Sutra 6 says pramana. Okay, I'll quickly finish that. Then we come. Pramana means right knowledge. Viparyaya means misunderstanding. Okay. So when you're sitting full on in the class, I think that you are very interested. Actually, you are thinking about something else. Okay. So I'm talking in general, not you. Okay. So what I'm saying is misunderstanding. I can see an object with my eyes, pratyakshena, but still I can get some other funny ideas. Yesterday, a new neighbor moved into my circle. I think he's a rascal. Hey, how do you know that? Because he has a big mustache. And my uncle also used to have a big mustache. Uncle used to pinch me whenever he saw me. Beta, how are you? And all that. So this guy also has the same mustache. So I think he's a rascal. You have not met him. You have not spoken to him. But still you say he's a rascal. Why? For inferring that some previous experience you are connecting with this thing. That is called inference, isn't it? That is called anumanam. Okay. Famous example is Parvato Vanniman. When you see smoke in the distant mountain, what is the inference? There must be fire. How do you know? Because whenever you are seeing fire, you are seeing some smoke also. You are seeing smoke there, so fire must be there. Yatha Mahashane, I'm sorry, Pajakashalayam. In the kitchen, you have seen smoke. When there is fire, you have seen smoke. So there is smoke. so Parvado Vanyaman. So there must be fire. This is the how we in Nyaya, how we study logic. Okay. Okay. So Anumanam is inference. Is that okay? So Pratyaksham and Anumanam is inference, and then Pramana Viparyaya. Viparyaya is misunderstanding. I am understanding same ideas but getting some funny ideas. That is called Viparyayam. And Vikalpa. Vikalpa is my imagination. Imagination is very important, as Albert Einstein used to say. Imagination is the most important, more important than knowledge, because once you can conceive an idea, then you can make it happen, isn't it? I hope you're listening. Yeah. Okay. So imagination. So all your movies and did you see Godzilla versus Kong? Nobody saw it. Okay. So all those are imagined. We don't have a King Kong in real life, isn't it? We don't have a Godzilla. But these are all imagination. But you can see it, isn't it? Once you can imagine it, we can make it using CGI, isn't it? So these ideas, first you didn't see it with the Pratiksha, but you can make it with your imagination. So those kind of ideas are called Vikalpa, isn't it? But yeah, Vikalpa, imagination. So you must be imagining all kinds of things, isn't it? So those are all those funny ideas are called Vikalpa. So we are all bracketing all our thoughts into these buckets. Okay, Viparyaya, and then what? I'm sorry, Vikalpa. Nidra. Nidra is when you are sleeping. Or Nidra is basically sleep. When you are sleeping also, there is one dark cloud, or you don't know anything, isn't it? So that nothingness is called, that is also one thought, because your mind is fully focused on that dark way. Okay, so sleep is also, in sleep also you may say that there is no other thought, but there is one thought. It is called Abhava Pratyaya. That is, mind breaks down into one single thought. What is that thought? I don't know anything. Aham kimapi na janami. I'm saying a little Sanskrit just to show. Okay, so Abhava Pratyaya, that is called Nidra. That definition is coming in the sutras. Don't worry. Now I am telling you what it is. I am giving you the idea, then going into the sutra, so that you can run through it. Okay, so Nidra is I don't know anything. Some of you are reaching it right now, and some of you are on the way, isn't it? So Nidra means I don't know anything. I am fully engrossed in my own deep dark world. That is called Nidra. Okay. Smritayaha, memories. So many memories we have, isn't it? From childhood onwards, first day of LKG onwards, it started. So for other people, it's even before. So memories are called Smriti. So all your memories. What did you have for breakfast last Thursday? Yesterday, I don't remember. Isn't it? So all of these, whatever recollection of past events is called Smriti. Okay? The Sanskrit Sutra is coming, we'll see it. But I'm giving you the idea first. Okay? So how many thoughts are there? 5 types. Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritaya. Any other thoughts? Everything that we have ever thought can be put into these 5 types. Memories, direct observation, inference, sleep, everything has come. So Patanjali as a genius in Patanjali has broken down this huge structure of the mind into chota 5 bags, small paper bags that you can carry home. Okay? Okay. So now we are going to the details of it. As you say, the devil is in the details, isn't it? So when you have to go through the details, you may say that samadhi and all that, but once you deal with our own mind, then the trouble starts, isn't it? So we have to go into details. But what are the pramanas? What are the direct knowledges or correct knowledge? Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agamaha, Pramanani. Pramanas are 3 types. In Nyaya, there are more pramanas, but we are following the yoga system. Yoga system, there are 3 pramanas. What are they? First is Pratyaksham. Pratyaksham means seeing with your open eyes. Prati Aksham. When I keep something in front of my eyes, opposite to my eyes, I can see it. If you keep it behind, you don't see it, isn't it? You have to bring it Prati Aksham, in front of the eyes, or sense organs. Isn't it? That is called Pratyaksham. And Anumana, as I said, before inference. Parvado Vanima, there is fire in the distant mountain. Inference. I think my neighbor is a rascal. How do you know? He has a big mustache like my uncle. Okay, that is called Anumana. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agamaha. As far as you are, okay, what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with yoga. You want to know our perfect nature or Swarupa or whatever that they said. How do you know it? As you rightly asked, Pratyaksha you cannot see because I don't know what my Swarupa is. I can see in the mirror, but through the mirror I can see only the physical body, or maximum inference I can see my mind. But Swarupam is even deeper. How do I see it? I can only use one means, that is called Agama, that is called scripture. The holy sacred books that our teachers have given. In those, certain words are used to indicate that Swarupam. Okay, so when I read it, that is why reading is very important. When I read it, some ideas go into my head. Right now, when whatever the experience of the world is also, it's only a bunch of words, isn't it? When I say orange, what comes into your mind? Does an egg come into your mind? No. When I say orange, orange comes into your mind, isn't it? When I say you are a genius, some good idea comes into your mind, isn't it? So whatever we experience in the world is basically just words, isn't it? So the rishis or the sages, they have collected certain words, reading which or going through which you automatically that Swarupam clicks in you. You just see it. Then you don't need anybody else to prove it. Then somebody may call you donkey, monkey, or whatever. You don't mind because you know who you are, isn't it? That is what Agama does to you. Scripture does. That is why in India, in our Indian tradition, we give so much importance to all these books. Especially youngsters keep asking you, why are you asking? Why are you studying all these old books that you can study it when you are 70, 75 plus? But that's not the point. When you read these books with the idea expounded by a teacher, when you read it, these ideas, like all the other funny, stupid ideas that you have, these good ideas go into your head and you see your Swarupam. That is what Agama does. So these three ways of knowing things, Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Agama. Agama is the third one. Shastra doesn't use any Pratyaksha. It doesn't use any Anumana. When you read it, you will understand it. If you learn it from a competent teacher. Okay? These are the Pramanas. Okay? Okay. So that these are Pramanas. Then what? Viparyayaha, 8th Sutra. Viparyayo, Mithya Jnanam, Atadruva Pratishtam. That is the definition of Viparyaya. Viparyaya, what did we understand? Misunderstanding. That is what Patanjali is telling you. Viparyayaha, what is Viparyaya? Mithya Jnanam. Mithya means it is not true. That neighbor is a nice guy. But I am just assuming that he is a rascal. That rascal idea is in my head. Mithya Jnanam. It has no reality. Mithya. But still it is there. You can see it, you are experiencing it. In the same way, the idea that you are miserable or happy or unhappy is all ideas. So an idea is causing all your problems, isn't it? So, Viparyayaha, Mithya Jnanam is an idea. And what is that? Atadruva Pratishtam. Tadruva Pratishtam means it is actually outside, it is real. Atadruva Pratishtam means it is not there. It is in your head. Okay? We have so many ideas about anything and everything about in the world, isn't it? I think you are a good student. I think you are a rascal. All these ideas I can say, but I have no clue. I am just saying it, isn't it? So it is Atadruva Pratishtam. It has no correlation with the reality. It is all misunderstanding, wrong knowledge. I hope it is clear to you. Is that okay? I hope I am not driving the idea into your head that you are suffering. Okay. Okay. And then what? Oh, then we'll go to Vikalpa. Vikalpa, what was Vikalpa? Imagination. Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpaha. Shabda Jnananupati. You can put a name to it, Godzilla, and accordingly Godzilla's image you can get. But is there really a Godzilla? or say something. It is not there, isn't it? According to the, you have the words, you have the ideas, you can give a name and form and all that, but actually it is not there. It is imagination, isn't it? That is the definition of imagination. Vastu shunyaha, actually it is not there. Really, objective reality is not there, but still you see it and you experience it. Shabdam, the name can be given, accordingly a form can be given, you can make stories out of it, you can make movies out of it, but it is not there. Vastu shunyaha, vikalpaha. Is that okay? I hope the Sanskrit words of the sutras are starting to make sense to you now. Is that okay? Shariri also, I hope. Oh, yes.
Viparyaya and vikalpa. Viparyaya is
Viparyaya is misunderstanding.
coming to conclusion based on our previous experience.
Yes, it is my own conclusion.
And vikalpa is just
Vikalpa is my imagination. It is not there.
Not
Actually,
necessarily should not be.
it need not be a misunderstanding. I'm just imagining things. I'm just making up things. Okay. There is a slightly correlate. You feel like it is related, but imagination is. You can actually see it. I'm sorry. You can give a name and form and all that, but it really doesn't exist. Viparya is just my funny idea about it. I'm sorry. Viparya is your misunderstanding. Vikalpa is your imagination. Okay. I imagine that somebody is sitting here. I can imagine that. It is a vikalpa. I can keep saying that, and he's talking to me. He's 31 years old. I can keep saying all these things, and I can give him a name. He's 6'7", and he's very handsome. I can keep saying all these things. It is imagination, but it has. But do you understand it? Do you see a person, or do you think that somebody might be sitting here? No, isn't it? It's just my funny imagination. Okay, so imagination, that which I make up, is vikalpa, but my wrong understanding is called viparya. Okay, mithya jnanam, that word is very important. Atadruva pradishtam. It is actually not as it seems. Uncle is a good guy. I'm sorry. Neighbor is a good guy, but I think that he's a rascal. Okay, so that rascal idea is in my head. He's actually a good guy. Atadruva pradishtam. He's a good guy, but reality is he's a good guy. But I am making up things. But when I say that there is a Godzilla sitting there, that is vikalpa. I am making funny things up. I hope the difference is a little subtle, but I hope you get it. Okay. Once you go through some portion of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you read the explanation, and then you may get more clarity on it. If you don't get it, you can ask Prasad-ji, or we can discuss when we meet next time. Okay. Okay. So we'll finish the 5 types of thoughts and then we'll conclude. Okay. So one more is there. What is that? Anidra. That we are all very familiar. Abhava pratyaya alambana vrittihi. That state or thought or state of the mind in which the main thought is abhavam, nothing is there, is called sleep. I hope that's not rocket science to you. It's very easy, isn't it? Some of you are already there. Okay. Abhava pratyaya. So abhava pratyam is the thought that everything is void or everything is shunyam. I wouldn't say shunyam, but nothing is there. I don't know anything. That is abhava pratyaya. Bhava means it is there, I know it. Abhava means I don't know it. So I don't know is the main thought in sleep.
Abhava in the sense scarcity.
Abhava, of course, these Sanskrit words can be used in different contexts, isn't it? So here, abhava means not knowable. Okay, bhava means something that exists really. I can see your phone, your notebook, and all that. That is bhava. I see it. But when I'm sleeping, I don't see it. The main only thought that I have is I don't know anything. Abhava. Nothingness I know at that time. Okay. So that thought of nothingness, when that is the central idea, you fall into sleep. That sleep is also because you are studying the mind as a whole. Waking, dream, all states you are studying. So you have to include sleep also. Deep sleep. So abhava pratyaya alambana vritti. That vritti thought whose fundamental basis is I don't know anything is called nidra. Sleep. Is that okay? Last one, smritihi. Anubhuta Vishaya Asampramoshah Smriti. When you are holding on in your mind to something that you experienced in the past, it is called memory. Girlfriend gave me a chappal yesterday. Isn't it? That song is there. Pichle mahine chappisko and all that. So, holding on to any memory, anything that you have happened in previous time, that when you are recollecting here, it is called a memory. That is the definition of memory. Is it? I hope that makes sense to you. So, memory is any recollection of a past event or object. Anubhuta Vishaya, past event. Asampramoshaha, you are still holding on to it. Okay, Sampramosha means holding on. I'm sorry, letting it go. Asampramosha means you are holding on to it. So that past idea you are holding on right now, it is called a memory. Anubhuta Vishaya Asampramoshaha Smritayaha. Sorry, Smriti. These are the 5 types of thoughts. Once you know this, you can classify. Once you know this, every time you have a thought, you have inner space to put this thought into appropriate bag, isn't it? So the baggage is reduced now, and of course there is some discipline is needed for that. That will come to it, but at least now you have an idea of how the mind works and how it can be managed. How each of these can be managed, we see in the other padas. But this is the basic idea that you are Swarupam, perfect, untouched by any of the foolishness that you have ever experienced. You are perfect. Swarupam. Swabhavam keeps on changing. Everybody will complain about the Swabhavam and all that. We can change it. Swabhavam can always be changed and Swarupam can never be changed. And that you are a happy, perfect being. You don't need any of these ideas or any of these rascals to be perfect. You are perfect. How is that? We'll discuss. I hope this way of studying Yoga Sutra makes sense to you. Does it? That you have to say.
Yes.
Is that okay? I hope Ashariri is also agreeing with what we said. Yes, sir.
In the Nidra, can we also connect it to some memory? Meditation, we are not connected.
Nidra, I would say, is deep sleep. Whenever there is a, okay, when you are in deep sleep, and I'm asking you, hey Rahul, are you asleep or not? If he is giving an answer, is he really sleeping? No, Rascal is simply pretending, isn't it? So in the same way, when you really asleep, you don't respond to any other of these meditation techniques or ideas or anything. You just know nothing, isn't it? Abhava pratyalambana vritta nidra. I hope that makes sense to you. Of course, there is some meditation technique called Yoga Nidra meditation, and sometimes you snore when you are going to what is that? Shavasana and all that, isn't it? So you may say that I am meditating, but actually what are you doing? Abhava pratya, isn't it? So whenever you see a fake yogi, you can now identify, isn't it? If he is snoring, he is not. He may say that some special mantra and chanting. No, he is sleeping. Okay. Oh. He may say I'm doing Brahmari. No, he is abhava pratya alambana vritta nidra. Okay. So, of course, what you asked is very valid. That certain because sleep, you are in sleep you are a very calm and perfect being, isn't it? That is very much close to what is called a Swarupam. Very much close. I wouldn't say it is equivalent, because Swarupam is consciousness. You are conscious of it. Okay. Sleep, you don't know anything.
What about dreams?
Dream is also a functioning of the mind. We have to go by the definition. Okay, so what is the definition of sleep here? Abhava pratyalambana vritti. I don't know anything, including dream. Dream is your functioning of the mind, isn't it? Of course, that is there. But definition of sleep is nothing was there. That is the definition of sleep. Of course, you go take a nap and then see the dream, and then maybe you get some good sleep. Or otherwise, dream comes in between waking and deep sleep, isn't it? Dream comes. Here sleep means deep sleep. Okay? You don't hear the alarm. Sleep, tight sleep.
What is that state when we are dreaming?
Vikalpa.
Dream can be a vikalpa. Yesterday I saw a dream that some of my friends and we together we robbed the bank. Seriously. And, of course, dreams, I have no control over it. What can I do? And rascals, finally, I got caught. All of them escaped with their money. So very sad. So I have no control over it. It is fully imagination of the mind. So that is a vikalpa or whatever it is. What is that? Viparya and all that. So it is a vritti in the mind. But sleep by definition is only one vritti. What is that? I don't know. Is that okay? So 5 types of thoughts you understood. So once you are able to manage these 5 thoughts, yoga is samadhi is easily achieved. Whether it is to be achieved or not, that is a different question. Because you are already perfect, I told you that. So do you need to achieve it? Do you need to stand on the tip of your nose to be perfect? Okay, that we'll discuss later. Okay, but Swarupam is unchangeable and it is already achieved. And Swabhavam you need to change according to. I hope that's okay. Everybody is on the same train? Yes. Okay.
We go to
Sarve santu niraya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkhapadhe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Many of you, thank you, Samdeep.